Hey TCPS friends, since this week is Earth Day, we are going to be making a landscape drawing. To make this landscape, you're going to need a piece of white copy paper, a marker or something to color with, a pencil, and a Sharpie or a black marker to outline. This lesson is intended for 3rd through 5th grade, but anybody is welcome to follow along. So to start with our landscape drawing, you will want your piece of paper to go side to side horizontal. A landscape is typically a picture or a drawing of land, hence the name landscape. So typically you'll see like green grass, maybe some trees, and then the sun in the background. Or maybe you'll see, sometimes they're also called a seascape. So you've got water down here, maybe some mountains, and the sun up here. Or even sometimes they're called a cityscape, where you've got some skyscraper buildings in the front, and then some more in the back, and then you've got your sky in the background. The three things that are always necessary for a landscape, cityscape, seascape is a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. What that means is you always have something in the front of your paper that is called your foreground, in the lower third quadrant of your paper. Then you're going to go to your middle of your paper that is called your middle ground. And then you're going to go to the top of your paper, which is called your background. So that's what you should have in your landscape. You should have a foreground, middle ground, and a background. So you guys are either going to be able to create a seascape or a landscape, whichever you guys would prefer. So you're going to start with drawing a line in your foreground, so the bottom of your paper. Now think right now whether you want for your picture to be a seascape or a landscape. If you want your picture to be a seascape, this first line you're going to be drawing is your water line. So maybe make it look wavy, like it is waves of the water, or make it really swirly like the waves of the water. If you were making a landscape, maybe you're kind of making subtle hills and movement so that it looks like rolling hills of land. So that's what I want you guys to think of before you start drawing your lines, is to think whether you want a seascape or a landscape, and go ahead and draw your first foreground line right down here at the bottom. So I went ahead and got 2 lines drawn in here, and these are for my waves because I'm drawing water. And again, this is my foreground, the front of my picture. And then in my middle ground, I want it to look like there's land behind the water. So I'm going to draw some kind of rolling hills lines back here to show that I have land. So again, you could have, instead of drawing your waves right here, maybe you did your land up here. It's just kind of however you want your landscape to look. You guys, it is up to your discretion on what kind of lines you want to draw for what kind of landscape you want to create. So now I've got my foreground of my waves for my water. I've got my middle ground of my land. And then I'm going to get the background, which I'm going to make my sun. So I'm going to quickly draw kind of like a sun setting / sunrise. You're allowed to put your sun up in the sky or wherever you'd like it. I always like the look of a sun setting or a sun rising. So that's what I'm going to go for. And I'm going to add some sun rays to it. Now that we have all of our lines drawn for our landscape, we're going to begin putting in a different pattern into each of the different sections. Now it's important that you do a different pattern in each section so that you can clearly see a differentiation between the two. So remember, different patterns you can do are circles, you can do horizontal lines or diagonal lines, you can do crisscrossing lines, you can do wavy lines within your wavy lines, Whatever you would like to do, you may. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my entire drawing with some patterns. Once all of your patterns have been put into place, it is time to Sharpie. Again, if you don't have a Sharpie, it is totally fine to use a black marker to go all over these lines, or a black crayon even, just to kind of add some clean lines to it. Don't forget to erase your pencil lines. And lastly, you're going to color in your Earth Day landscape. You're welcome to use whatever you would like to color it in, but I'm going to be using colored pencils. Once you have finished coloring everything in, your project is all done. I hope you guys enjoyed your Earth Day landscapes. If you would like, you can ask your parent to snap a picture of your project and send it to me.